So I will start with you, Mr. Kamath. How do you see hospitality sector poised at this moment?
Uh, Looking at the overall business and the supply and demand situation, I think it's a very interesting turn that we have come to. There seems to be a lot of potential in future. A lot of growth potential is there, but certain developments which have suddenly taken place in the market have started affecting, especially the business hotels, and that is bringing in. I think it's a temporary phase, but this is bringing a sort of lull in the market, and maybe at this juncture, some of the investors might be taking a wait and watch kind of pause, and but in the longer run, I think this industry is poised for growth. There's a lot of potential for this industry and a lot of potential for development in tourism. If the government and the tourism department develops destinations rather than properties, there is a lot of potential for tourism development in India also.
How do you see, Mr. Pal, from academic perspective? Do you think?
As sir said, the potential is very very high. So we as an academician, when we normally see the future, how the industry is going to be. So when the potential in at least in the papers, as we have seen from the HISCA conference coming up, there is a huge potential for foreign investors to come to India and invest in the hospitality sector. So obviously, if we look at all these areas where a lot of companies like Vantage Hotels, they have plans to launch in India. Swiss Hotel Management, they are planning to come up with 50 hotels in India. So if this is the future what we are looking at, so I foresee that yes, career in hospitality is going to be boom. Because ultimately, when so many properties are coming up, there is an addition of so many rooms.
No, this is where the whole disconnect comes.
Yes.
Indian hospitality sector is creating properties, not destinations.
Correct.
So how do you look at it?
So if we look at only from the perspective of the properties which they are planning to build up, or the number of rooms which are going to add to the inventory, then definitely the question of manpower comes. And when the question of manpower comes, definitely the hotels will be looking towards the Hotel Management Institute for a trained and skilled manpower. So that is where the fun is. If the industry grows, then definitely the education sector has to grow. Otherwise, all these hotels will be running short of skilled manpower. And without a proper skilled manpower, it's one of the major areas which is today a major concern for any brand of hotel.
This is where I look at the industry. See, this is a sector where potential and roadblocks coexist.
Yes.
And when you say these are momentary phases, you are saying this because there are macroeconomic problems.
Right.
GDP is going down and all.
Correct.
But don't you think at the same time this hospitality sector has failed to evolve as a differentiating sector? See, you were taken away from commercial real estate. You were being seen as a separate entity.
Correct.
How far hospitality sector has capitalized on that?
I, to some extent, agree with you that we have not capitalized on it completely, yet to capitalize. Yes, there has not been a complete disconnect between real estate investment and the hospitality investment. It is basically investment in real estate, but offering hospitality services. That's the kind of business which is mushrooming in the industry today, in the business today. But slowly the disconnect will come. Slowly, as and when the destinations get developed, like for example in Mumbai, in city of Mumbai, it's a what we call a greater Bombay. We have quite a few macro markets. When these macro markets start developing, and the potential is there, and there is a future potential also in the macro market, there definitely will be a focus on hospitality development rather than just the real estate development. And when the focus is on hospitality development, now once the development takes place, or whenever there is any sort of development taking place, there is a huge investment into that. Then the ROI and all these questions do come. So how far hospitality is going to fetch the return, how soon it is going to fetch the return, is the concern which is going to be in the minds of all the investors in any case. That will always going to remain. But if the destinations are properly promoted, I think it will be easier for all the players in the market to promote their business and develop their business.
The global experience suggests that hospitality sector has to be promoted in a micro market, not a macro market thing. That is one thing. Secondly, you say gestation period is long, but if you go by the figure available, three of the Indian cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, have the highest room rentals. So how do you see this disconnect? If you restructure your tariffs, then don't you think gestation period will be even more longer?
It's a possibility, but you need to look at the reasons why the rates are being kept so high. The basic reason for here is the real estate investment, or money that you invest in real estate, land cost, and the finance cost. These two costs are taking a very heavy toll on the investors. And in order to recover their revenues and recover their investment in a phased manner, say in 5, 10 or 7 years, they have to sell their rooms or their services at a higher price. They're forced to do that. And I think that's a roadblock which most of the investors in hospitality industry are facing today.
How do you look at it? What can be a
Here,
viable solution to it?
Yeah, one thing I would like to add here and also ask Mr. Kamath, like, why are we always looking at these 3 or 4 major metro cities? Because now if you see the overall tourism or travelers, particular in terms of India, it is almost 80% is domestic traveler. And the demand for the 2-tier or 3-tier cities like Goa, Bhopal, Kathmandu, Visakhapatnam is growing and increasing like anything. Even if you see the data of last year 2011 about the hotel performance, the ADR in Goa itself is more than 7,000 rupees. So if you compare with the metro cities, these 2-tier cities are also doing equally good. And nowadays the business travelers are looking for places which are much closer to their office and so that they can save their traveling.
This is where I was talking about micro market
Exactly.
phenomena.
So these are the areas where I think the hotel investors should look more into these 2-tier cities or these micro markets.
I completely agree with you on this. I completely agree with you. The focus has to be diverted towards these micro markets, and the destinations have to be developed
Yes.
in such a way that a business which is already there has a potential for growth, and we also as a hospitality industry can grow there. The investment required there must be much less than what we need in metro cities.
And again
the
here,
ROI will be faster there.
here I would like to add one more thing, that the government support is very much essential, like especially the gateway cities. Now, if we look at the MICE market, say for example the Southeast Asian countries like Seoul, Hong Kong, or even Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok, and all these places, if we compare with India, if you see the most of the other things what they offer and the rate and in terms of cost and accommodation, we are almost same. But here comes the question of the government input, where the infrastructure which is really related to tourism sector, in terms of roads, in terms of connectivity to these cities, that's the area where we are really
No,
lacking.
that is one side of the story. The other side is that you don't have, for MICE segment to develop, you don't have that many convention centers across the country. So don't you think somewhere this sector has failed to bridge the demand supply mismatch? You have rightly said that tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities have to be looked at. Don't you think sector has failed to bridge this demand supply mismatch?
Yes, it is.
And what are the regions? If I look at the regions, one thing that automatically comes to my mind is maybe this is because all the hotel chains are too conscious of their brand value and they don't want to get into tier 3 cities. Is this a reality?
May not be a reality, but then I think the focus is slowly changing now. It used to be the concept earlier that we need to focus on metro cities and so that we can get our returns faster there, and there's a huge potential in the metro cities. But slowly in leading groups also, the focus is changing, the thought process is changing, and they are also coming into the micro markets. They have certain brands launched there, and we also, we have launched Elite brand. The Elite brand will be for basically a budget brand, which will give all frill. It's not that no frill budget brand. At a particular cost, which will be affordable at the micro cities, will be able to give all the services in one bill concept. That's the kind of concept we have to come up with, and that I think will be accepted by the micro cities in a big way, and that's the kind of concept that needs to be focused on now.
Looking from it academic side, most of the new entrants in the sector are basically from metro cities. How far do you find willingness among them to go to tier 2 and 3 cities?
No, now recently it has been observed that the trend is changing. We have so many students who are coming up from these 2-tier and 3-tier cities, and many of the students, their basic background, you won't imagine they are basically from a farming background. And the students are now aware of the tourism and they want to pursue it as a career. And from our past data, we have observed that all the students who come from a 2-tier and 3-tier cities and small cities where maybe they are not aware to the metro lifestyle, but they are doing really good in the industry. And the major problem which we are facing, if you say in terms of the students why they are not joining the industry, is there are basically 2-3 reasons. As the basic first reason what they are looking into is the work-life balance. Like initially the 14 hours work used to be a standard in hotels, but now with the hotel brands like Marriott and all coming up in where they have a 5 days week and they have a 9 hours perfect shift. So those are the people who are attracting the students. And majority of our hotels in India are still not able to go to that style of work life. So that's one of the major issues where why we are losing on the manpower.
Well, land cost is one of the factors. Do you think bureaucratic hassles, clearances, these are also a hindrance in establishing new hotels?
Yeah, it has still remained a dream of investors to have a one-window clearance system. We've been talking about it for last decade or so. But can you imagine, you need about, in a city like Mumbai, you need about 53 licenses to start a hotel. And 53 different agencies have to be approached. And there are certain licenses which need to be taken for one particular operation to be taken from 3 different agencies. Those kind of bureaucratic hassles are definitely...
Many of these
creating
clearances are not actually clearances, just NOCs that can be revoked at any given point of time. Is that a reality?
That it's the reality. Some of the NOCs, it's very rarely it is done that they revoke the NOC, but there's a possibility. It's always a sword on the investor's head that it can happen. But yes, generally they don't go to that extent. But this roadblock definitely exists. The bureaucratic hassle, the too many agencies getting involved in the clearances, it definitely affects investors' mindset while getting into the project.
And if I look at the tier 2 and 3 cities, real estate primarily being the state subject, these clearances are all the more challenges in a smaller.
Of course, if for any investor to open up a hotel or build a hotel in India, if you see from the international standard, the overall land cost should be about, if I am not wrong, 25% of the whole project cost. Whereas in India, it is almost 100 to 200%. And there are
Never
as
less than
Mr.
60%.
Exactly.
No, never
Yeah.
less than
Never less than 60%.
Never less than 60%.
And almost about 65 to 78 licenses and permits which are required for different departments to run. So this is absolutely too much. And you know the government offices, the files are just lay and sit on the table for years because they do not have any time frame or nothing is given to the respected clerks and the officers to clear the papers. That's one of the major.
Well, land cost you say 100 to 200%. That being the major input cost comes in the way, but this is also true that most of the hotel chains want to set up new hotel near the CBDs. They are not looking for peripheral business districts.
Yes, because generally people look at the business potential. What has happened is generally in this industry we have seen from our past experience, what sells primarily is location. And first 5 reasons for hotel to do well is location, 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 location. So this location is something which plays very heavily on the minds of the investors. And CBD being a very, very easily accessible kind of location, a person doesn't mind to spend a little extra in land cost and go into that area. Of course, business upswings and downswings, they do affect the hospitality sector also, the occupancies get affected and the ROI is affected. But generally we have seen hotels need the CBD do much better than the hotels in the peripheral areas, unless they are resort hotels.
No, but don't you think if I look at it rate per square feet kind of economics, don't you think now see a place like Navi Mumbai doing better than your South Mumbai, a place like Gurgaon doing better than Delhi. So don't you think somewhere these peripheral business districts are doing pretty well? Just the fact that hospitality sector has failed to capitalize on that. Will you agree with that?
Yeah, see, there are two pictures in it. If you talk about the small two-tier cities or the areas which are not considered to be a metros, that they are really doing the hospitality industry whole and soul also depends on the industries which are there in and around. A small place might have two big industries. For example, a place like Chennai where so many big industries are coming out, that city is growing like anything. Now, whoever is investing in that city in terms of finance, or at least when they are looking forward to their break-even points, they can make a target, okay, we will be able to break even in 5 years or 7 years or so. But there are many two-tier small cities absolutely where there is nothing. And again, as Sir said, that location is one of the prime factor for the success of any hotel business in that particular place. And in location, it includes the connectivity to the proper place, the airport, the number of flights which are coming in, how well it is connected to the different places. So all these things.
So what according to you is the main demand driver? If you have to set up, say, a chain of hotels, what according to you would be the main demand drivers?
If it's,
Beyond location.
beyond, it's generally the main demand driver is the destination. Destination has to be developed, and according to the development of the destination, the industry develops. It is only where there is a potential in the when you find a potential in a particular destination, that's the only place where investors will go to start a hospitality segment, unit. Otherwise, the main drivers is, I think, the destination.
Well, what you are saying is about interdependence of real estate, tourism and hospitality. But still there is no coherence between the three segments.
Three segments, namely
Real estate, tourism, hospitality.
There is, I would to some extent agree that there is no absolute coincidence, but then I think they are coming together now. They are realizing the fact that they need to work as a team to develop the industry, because all three sources are understood that they are interdependent for their own survival also. And yes, to some extent, these bureaucratic hassles, or would say bureaucratic so-called ego, or this thing that was keeping this one segment, one sector away from the other sector. But I think slowly they will come together. They will realize the.
Also the fact that all these segments don't have the kind of industry bodies that is needed to streamline the things. Like if I talk about hospitality, National Hotel Association of India is talking something different and FHRA is talking something different. So that disconnect is also there.
But I think both of them are striving towards the same goal. Maybe the languages are different, but they.
I know
aim
nobody
towards
within the
the
industry will ever admit to it. But beyond this demand supply, one is about the location and all. Don't you think there is also a demand supply mismatch in terms of see, there is more room needed in budget segment and more rooms added in the upper segment. Don't you think that demand supply is also hurting the cause of the sector?
It is. It is hurting the corporate sector. It is hurting the investors also to some extent, because quite a few investors have realized that. And future lies in the budget segment. The budget segment is poised for a lot of growth in the future, and that is where a lot of potential is seen today. Now, people who are traveling, especially the business travelers, what do they want? They want a neat, clean, hygienically maintained room with all facilities available for a business traveler, and very tasty and good food available all throughout the stay. That is, if that is provided, I think the most of the business travelers' needs are taken care of.
And time is the major factor for
Time is the major factor, and generally a business traveler stays 1.25 to 1.5 days in any hotels, and in that span of that duration, whatever best hotels can do, they can provide. But again, here the room rate or the expenditure spend factor also comes. Why spend heavily to tune 12,000, 14,000 in a room for this much of need, where you can get this in a budget for segment. There is a small hitch here. In India, it is very difficult for a no-frill hotel to do business on a longer term. Basically because our mindset is set. Even in middle-class homes, you'll find the servant always there to help the people in the family. So we are used to taking help or taking service from people, you know. So no-frill hotels, which do not offer any kind of help, have not been that well accepted in the market.
That's a very interesting take,
That
actually.
you know what, that is the reason why we came out with the elite concept, where we'll have a budget segment giving all the services. Like there will be baggage pickup drop service, there will be airport drop pickup service, we'll pick up laundry from the room, room service will be available to some extent. Drinking water and all these facilities which are provided in any 4-star hotels will be provided, although the elite is in the 3-star segment. So these things have been accepted very well in the market. And this is, I think, what Indian business traveler expects in a hotel, even if it is a 3-star budget hotel.
Okay. So you mean to say that mid-segment, all frills hotel is the future. Okay. Sanjeev, see, we all know the ground realities. The fact of the matter is that we have also accepted that. बस एक मिनट, ओ, can somebody serve coffee? कुछ
Yeah.
coffee के साथ photo